Hello, writer. You're here because you want to write your book. And today, I'm going to tell you 3 must-have resources for every fiction writer, which would probably include memoir writers, to make sure they write not just a story, but a good story. Author Sharon Hughson here today, and I have a little bit of a different background. My bookshelf, it might be a little messy. If you hate the mess, you can tell me in the comments. But hey, today I'm talking about 3 resources that you should have, that no, not should, must have if you want to write compelling fiction or a compelling memoir. The first thing you need to have is a story structure guide. All right, now I will tell you about my favorite book, and that will be the one that's linked in the comments below. But there are dozens of story structure books, and I have read not dozens, but about 10, or skimmed at least 10, and almost all of them use the same structure. They just call it something a little different. So if you are a plotter, maybe you will want something like this by K.M. Weiland, who I highly recommend that people follow her website because she writes compelling blog posts. This workbook actually has fill in the blank, step by step through the structure, but it's going to have you pretty much outline your whole novel if you complete the whole thing. Okay, maybe you like Larry Brooks. He's pretty awesome. He does use a little bit of terminology that might be a little over your head, but this Story Engineering, great book. I've attended classes that Larry has taught at Willamette Writers Conference, so he's definitely a good person to follow and check out if you're still trying to figure out what story structure you want. This book, Story, has also been recommended to me. It's kind of big, so I've mostly just leafed through it, and it looks to me like it's pretty much the same structure that is told and informed and used in my structure, plotting, and revision Bible. That's right. There are 3 different things right there that this book, Plot and Structure by James Scott Bell, will help you with. And I don't know if you can see the tabbies, but I have a lot of pages marked so that when I'm on a new project, I can flip right back to them to find out what I need. So I will be talking at a later point about the 3-act story structure that I use based on James Scott Bell's book. But I'm not talking about that today because I know writers who love Save the Cat, which I did not demonstrate here. It's about story structure. It didn't resonate with me. You need to find the story structure book that makes sense to you, that you understand the terminology, you understand the way it's plotted out, you understand how to fit the building blocks of your story within that structure so that you will have a strong undergirding for your awesome book that you're writing. The second thing every fiction writer needs is a way to figure out who their characters are. And so I'm going to talk about 2 different books that I've used, but I started when I first found K.M. Weiland. I mentioned her book. She was giving away a free character workbook that I used, and it was great. It wasn't quite as in-depth, it was free, as the books that I'm going to share here with you, but it was still really good. The reason I did that is because the rejections I got back when I got a few people to respond, my characters were too shallow, they weren't likable, there was always just some little hitch with my characters, and so I realized I need to figure out how to write more compelling characters, which led me to this book, Writing with Emotion, Tension, and Conflict, from Cheryl St. John. Now, this talks about more than just character, okay? emotion, tension, conflict, okay? But she has some really great character worksheets that are fairly simple, but help you get right to the heart of your character so that you make a character that you understand what it is they want, their goals, why they want that, the motivation for that, and how they need to grow over the story so that you have a character at the end who can do something that they couldn't do at the beginning. But now that they've taken this journey through your story, they can do it. The other thing, that the next book that I just discovered when I went to the Deep Thinkers Retreat with Susan May Warrington in 2018 was her book, The Story Equation. And in it, she lays out exactly how she plots out or uses a simple diagram to figure out all of her main characters. And most of her characterization is based on something she calls the dark moment story. So that is something you need to figure out, because if there's not a lie that your character believes, if there's not a wound that they need to have healed, they're not going to be as deep and as compelling and engaging, so that readers keep turning pages to find out, are they gonna get over this? Are they gonna get past this? Can they figure this out? Your fiction has to have compelling characters. Now you'll have people, there's a debate. Is plot or character more important in a story? And we might talk about that debate in the future, but let me weigh in. They're both super important. All right. The third resource that you need if you're going to write strong, compelling stories is this book, The Emotion Thesaurus, by Angela Ackerman and Becca Puglisi. Now, I love this book. I will have this book out when I am rewriting, because I am the person who fast drafts, and so my first draft is kind of emotionless. And so I need to up that in every scene when I'm rewriting. And so that's why I use this. Now, they have a lot of thesauruses, and I encourage you to check those out. But the only link you will find today in the comments is to this one, the Emotion Thesaurus, because what I love about this thesaurus is that, say someone's mad, okay? Actually, I was just doing a critique today, and someone was telling me someone's angry, and I'm like, well, show me. Well, this tells you first the definition of that emotion, the physical signals, okay? And it's a whole page of physical signals of anger, internal sensations, because that was one thing that was totally missing from this piece that I critiqued, was there was no internal sensation from the character. So I was like, does she feel anything? What's going on inside there? The mental responses, cues of acute or long-term anger, okay? And the cues of suppressed anger. So that you can, and they always have a tip that goes along with it, every single emotion, okay? So what I like to do is, if I'm like, yeah, but I don't want the reader to know that they're angry, I want them to think they might be scared. You know what I do? I go to afraid, or fear, I think is what it is in here, and anger, and I look down the physical signs and find the ones that are on both lists. Oh, Sharon, how dare you? Yeah. So then the reader is guessing. So is she mad or is she scared? You can give as many clues or as few cues as you want to keep the suspense going, to keep things building. But if you don't have emotional characters with emotions in your book, in your story, readers are going to be like, bleh. Even if they read to the end, they won't stick with them, because the emotional impact that your characters have on the story is what will happen inside the reader. And that emotional impact is the thing that has readers saying, oh, the best book. Oh, I read this. Da, 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 da. Those characters were so blah. That's right. People will talk about a great story, but usually one that resonates also has really good characters that are drawn from a deep well, and they need to have emotion. So I encourage you today, if you haven't found a resource for story structure, for creating compelling characters, or adding emotion into your manuscript, to your story, find what works for you today. And the resources I talked about, the 3 major ones, will be linked in the comments. Yes, those are affiliate links, so I'll make a few pennies if you choose to buy them using the link. And I would love to hear if you think, Sharon, I've been writing for a while and I think X is a must-have resource. Hey, I want to hear about it. I'm on a lifelong journey to become a better writer, to learn more things for myself, yes, but to help the writers that I work with, writers like you. So let me know what you think. Hit the subscribe button. Share this with all your writer friends so they know what resources they must have to write their best story. And until I see you next time, keep writing because your story matters.